The article Super Predators interweaves the personal stories of Sarah Loisel and Karen Tingle with statistics about law enforcement officers domestically abusing their power. Although using a narrative storytelling style, they added in sections of contextual statistics beginning on page 8 to emphasize the consequences of domestic abuse, corrupt police officials, and wrongly victimizing criminals. This intention is also supported by the note at the end that states, quote, "This story was supported by a grant from the Fund for Investigative Journalism." Paragraphs discussing the struggle between a young future police officer, Mark Wynn, and his stepfather are also dispersed throughout the article to give another perspective and context that further support the same issue aforementioned of an abuse of power and of women. Melissa Gelston and Dana Liebelson presented a seemingly unbiased representation of the story by using direct quotes, providing citations, and commenting about when information was limited due to privacy concerns. Confidence in their intentions of truthfulness is given when clarifying statements such as, quote, "by her account," are made. However, because the two victims in the story are female and the two authors are also female, there is a natural inclination towards compassion and understanding. As the opening line read, quote, "all Sarah Loisel wanted was a carefree summer." This preemptive expectation was slightly confirmed, as the tone of this conveys an immediate sense of innocence. Furthermore, the two journalists were able to meet with Tingle. They noted that, quote, "when she talks about that terrifying final night with Martinez, her voice, already deceptively girlish, is barely audible." Their comment about her vocal levels showed their personal interpretation as they communicate that the horror of the events have taken a physical toll on the women, even though it is not explicitly stated. However, the majority of their writing is very factual and presented with clarity and objectivity. Immediately after reading the one-sentence synopsis on the cover page, I was aware of a bias against the police officers due to gender. Being a female myself, I subconsciously and quickly believed the women and felt compassion while hating Angela Martinez. The detailed accounts also allowed me to put myself in the women's shoes and extend my empathy. Bias mitigation was practiced by keeping an open mind, staying aware of the subconscious prejudice, and paying particularly close attention to the quotes by the opposite side of the conflict, such as other officers and investigators. Loisel states that initially Martinez, quote, "made her feel safe." This is a common attribute women desire in a companion and something that connects the story to the audience, drawing out a bias. She also commented that he, quote, "had this expectation of the woman of the house." As I read this line, a different emotion was evoked within me, one of anger. This is directly connected to a value that my mother emphasized strongly throughout my childhood, which was the idea of a strong woman and mother. I was always taught to not accept the traditional and oppressive desires and stereotypes created by men. Because of this experience I had as a child, my interpretation of this quote evoked a strong emotion which increased my interest in the story, but could also further increase my bias. After reading a news article from the Cape Gazette and the Delaware Online, I noticed that they both reported the same stories. However, the online news article noted that Martinez's position as a police officer was only in question due to his exploitation of the Delaware Justice Information System. These pieces of outside information emphasize the message of the injustice against these abused women, and their physical harm was not reported as part of the reason he could lose his position of power.